We play hard and we work hard. Sometimes we probably play hard when we should be working hard, but that's probably my fault, but fire me.
What if I told you that The Office could have been completely different from the one we know today? In this video, we're looking at something that completely changes how you see The Office: the original audition tapes. Because before Steve Carell was Michael Scott, before Rainn Wilson became Dwight Schrute, and before John Krasinski was everyone's favorite office boyfriend, other actors stood right there reading those same lines, trying to get the role. Some of them, honestly, really good. Others, let's just say we dodged a bullet. So today we're going to compare who auditioned for the major roles versus who actually got them and why. What the show would have looked like with the almost cast, and how each final actor shaped the series into the masterpiece it became. Let's start with the obvious one, Michael Scott. Casting directors saw a lot of different types for this role. And the first big surprise? Bob Odenkirk walked in and delivered a version of Michael that was honestly terrifying, but in a good way.
Sometimes we probably play hard when we should be working hard, but that's probably my fault, but fire me.
Odenkirk's take was sharper, more sarcastic, and way more confrontational. His Michael was the kind of boss who'd call a meeting just to tell you he didn't like your attitude. It was hilarious, but it also leaned darker, almost like a what if Michael Scott actually had a backbone and used it for evil kind of vibe. And then came Rainn Wilson, yes, Dwight Schrute, who originally read for Michael.
Urine is sterile, okay? That's a fact. Did you know that?
His version? Surprisingly smart, oddly self-aware, and much more deadpan. Less chaos, more calculated cringe. Rainn's Michael felt like the early blueprint for what Ron Swanson would eventually become, just with worse social skills. Both were strong, both completely different, but then Steve Carell walked in.
Actually, people say I am the best boss they've ever had. The world's greatest boss. Give it to me. They go, Michael, we have never worked in a place like this before. I mean, you are a riot. You get the best out of us. And I say, well, que sera, sera. You know, and if it's true, awesome.
Steve Carell did something neither Odenkirk nor Rainn attempted. He made Michael Scott a disaster, but a lovable disaster. Cringe, but hopeful. Wrong, but always wrong with enthusiasm. Dumb, but somehow spiritually profound once in every 50 episodes. He wasn't just the boss. He became the emotional center of the show. The reason you laughed, the reason you stayed, and sometimes the reason you cried. So yeah, Odenkirk was sharper, Rainn was smarter, but Carell was Michael Scott. And that's why he got the role. Then we have Jim Halpert, everyone's favorite morally questionable prankster boyfriend. Also had some surprising alternate choices. Let's start with the one most fans already know. Adam Scott. Yes, Ben Wyatt from Parks and Recreation himself auditioned for Jim. And honestly, he delivered a really convincing Jim.
Quantity and type of paper, and you know, if we can supply it to them and if they can purchase it, and I'm boring myself just talking about it, so that's I can't even.
Adam Scott's take was dry, smart, and a little sharper than what we ended up with. His Jim had this, I'm over this job, I'm over these people, and I'm emotionally unavailable on purpose vibe. He hit the lines perfectly, almost too perfectly. Like someone playing a version of Jim that was intentionally polished, cleaner, more self-aware. It worked, but it didn't feel like the guy stuck at a paper company. Then comes John Cho, and John brought a completely different flavor to the role.
I'm a sales rep, which means that my job is to speak to clients on the phone.
His Jim was charming, confident, more expressive, someone who felt like he was one promotion away from leaving Dunder Mifflin forever. Jim needs to look like the guy who peaked in high school, wandered into a paper company job, and never figured out how to leave. John Cho's version felt more ambitious, more put together, more, I have a real life outside this office. And then John Krasinski walks in, slouched, tired, bored, looking like he's been working at Dunder Mifflin since the Clinton administration.
I'm a sales rep, which means that my job is to speak to clients on the phone about quantity, type of paper, whether we can supply it to them, whether they can pay for it. And I'm boring myself just talking about it, to be honest.
And suddenly the character makes sense. Jim Halpert needed to feel real. He needed to look like the type of guy you'd see at Staples and forget 5 minutes later. He needed that casual, effortless charm that doesn't feel performed. Krasinski also brought something neither Adam Scott nor John Cho delivered. He could turn a silent stare into a joke. Those looks at the camera, those tiny moments of disbelief, instant comedy, instant connection. John wasn't just reading lines. He was forming a relationship with the audience. He made us feel like we were stuck at that desk with him, watching the madness unfold. And that's why he got the role. Next up, Dwight Schrute. And this one, honestly, it has some of the strangest audition energies I've ever seen. Let's start with the obvious shocker, Seth Rogen. Yes, Seth Rogen auditioned for Dwight Schrute.
Urine is sterile. Did you know that? If you're in the field, you can clean a man's wound by taking a whiz on it. That is actually in first aid books written by the Red Cross.
And listen, Seth is funny, no question. But his Dwight wasn't intense. He was relaxed, like way too relaxed. His version felt like assistant to the regional manager, but also kind of high right now. There was no threat, no paranoia, no I have a detailed escape plan for every coworker in this office. It was Dwight without the danger. And without the danger, it's just a guy. Then we moved to Judah Friedlander. And Judah brought a completely different vibe to the role.
Not me. Check this out. See this? It's 90% red hot peppers imported from Cuba. Guy's done. Paralyzed for 2 weeks straight. I'm not afraid.
His Dwight was awkward, deadpan, and dripping with, I don't want to be here, but I also kind of live here energy. He played Dwight like a conspiracy theorist, night shift IT guy who accidentally walked into a paper company. It had potential, weird potential, but it lacked the sharpness, the competitive intensity, the I could defeat Jim in single combat feeling. Judah's version was eccentric, yes, but Dwight needed to be weaponized eccentricity. And then comes Patton Oswalt. And honestly, Patton gave one of the most fascinating alternate Dwights.
No, I'm trained in this from being a sheriff's deputy.
Volunteer?
Volunteer sheriff's deputy.
Yeah, whatever, okay.
His Dwight was smart, overly smart, sharper, more sarcastic, more I read the entire employee handbook this morning just to win an argument. But here's the problem. Patton's version felt too grounded, too rational. Dwight needs to feel like someone who sleeps on bulletproof pillows and has competed in at least one illegal beet farming tournament. Patton's Dwight was funny, but not unhinged. And then Rainn Wilson shows up again, this time reading specifically for Dwight. And everything changes instantly.
When you are in the field, you can clean a wound by whizzing on it. True. It is in the first aid guidebook from the American Red Cross Association. So it's totally unfair for me to get in trouble for whizzing in the sink.
He gave Dwight that rigid, bizarre posture, the superiority complex of a man who believes absolutely anything can be a weapon, the misplaced confidence of someone who thinks he's the protagonist in a spy movie, and the weird Boy Scout meets Batman meets beet farmer intensity that defines Dwight Schrute. Rainn didn't just perform Dwight, he crafted Dwight. Physically, psychologically, comedically. He understood that Dwight isn't meant to be just funny. Dwight is funny because he's terrifyingly committed to everything he does. Nobody else came close. Rain wasn't the best choice for Dwight. He was the only choice. Then came Pam Beesly, the soul of the show. Also had a major alternate, Kathryn Hahn, one of the best comedic actresses working today.
Frankly, I spent the first month trying to remind my boss that there is no Y in paper.
Kathryn Hahn's audition was great. Funny, expressive, confident, almost too confident. But Pam needed something else entirely. Pam needed to feel soft-spoken, sweet, slightly awkward, and emotionally quiet. Jenna Fischer walked into her audition and basically was Pam. Not acting Pam, just existing as Pam.
I hope they get rid of me, because then I might actually get off my ass and do something. Because I don't think it's many little girls' dreams to grow up and be a receptionist. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but whatever it is, it's got to be a career move, not just another arbitrary job. And Jim's advice was that it's better to be at the bottom of a ladder that you want to climb than halfway up one you don't.
She brought this subtle vulnerability, this sense that she had dreams but wasn't sure she deserved to chase them. And here's the key. Her chemistry with John Krasinski was insane. Not romantic chemistry, human chemistry. Comfort, familiarity, warmth. That's something you can't fake. And that's why she got the role. There were smaller but interesting alternate castings too. Angela Kinsey originally auditioned for Pam, but the casting directors took one look at her quiet, judgy, extremely cat owner energy and said, "You're not Pam, you're someone else. Just wait."
I like that, because it's not often that you get something that's both romantic and thrifty. So there's that going.
She eventually became Angela Martin, which is perfect casting. Nobody else could have done it. Oscar Nunez wasn't initially the first pick either, but his deadpan delivery made him the perfect straight man of The Office.
It is a question of trust.
It's communication.
Do you trust me? Do you trust me? Yes or no?
Yes. I trust you.
Phyllis Smith wasn't even auditioning. She was helping cast the show. She read lines with actors, and he liked her so much, they literally created the character Phyllis Vance for her. That's how natural some of these final choices were. If you look at the people who auditioned, you realize something important. The Office almost became a much harsher, more sarcastic, more aggressive show. Bob Odenkirk as Michael, way meaner. Adam Scott as Jim, more cynical. Seth Rogen as Dwight, less paranoid. Kathryn Hahn as Pam, more outspoken, less vulnerable. The alternate cast would have created a show that felt sharper, but less emotional, less human. The final cast had something the audition alternatives didn't: warmth, soft edges, a little bit of awkward innocence. That was the secret ingredient. So after watching all the auditions, here's the truth. The Office wasn't just well written. It wasn't just well directed. It was perfectly cast. Every actor who ended up on the show didn't just play a character, they defined that character so strongly that today it's impossible to imagine anyone else playing them. The almost cast actors were great. Some of them were genuinely impressive, but the chosen actors were right. And that's why The Office still works today. That's why it still gets rewatched millions of times. That's why it still matters. If the casting had gone differently, even slightly, we might not be talking about it right now. So let me know in the comments if you could recast any character on The Office, who would it be and why? Stay tuned for more content like this. See you in the next Catch Bingers.